Race fans, start your engines for a non-stop thrill ride.
You have no idea what's coming next, trust me.
It's the most high-octane countdown show ever, bringing you the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history.
These guys are incredible.
NASCAR is just a big family.
From the leader of the gang.
I mean, the Allisons were tenacious.
To the mouths that roar.
Got any comment? Did you got anything to say?
From a gentle clan.
Exactly like you told me all along, Dad. Thanks for everything.
To a posse you don't want to mess with.
True racing family.
From two brothers out of Sin City to racing's first family.
There's nothing like that in sports.
From stock car royalty.
They defined the first family of NASCAR racing.
To a legend, his father and his son. Buckle up and hang on. It's the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history. This is number 10.
The Busch brothers have changed this sport in a lot of ways.
You're about to see history. The first man ever to sweep all 3 Touring Series.
The Bushes represent everything different about NASCAR.
They were 2 kids out of Las Vegas,
Nevada, Sin City,
which wasn't necessarily known as a great breeding ground for stock car racers.
They used to run on that little bull ring, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, in Legends cars.
My dad, he was an auto mechanic and a tool salesman.
Tom Busch is the real deal.
That jumped into racing the year I was born.
He's outspoken, doesn't have a filter.
If you watch them race, you can see some of the same things. Their bad boyness.
I don't think he hit the brakes.
Right again, inside. And they came in brash and unapologizing.
They're not worried about making friends.
Well, hand signaling given the NASCAR official.
They don't care about having the biggest fan club.
They only care about one thing.
They just want to win races.
And that's winning races.
$1 million. Kurt Busch wins.
They figured out that the bad boy image coming from Las Vegas has worked out for both of them.
I think Kurt's kind of toned the act down, but Kyle hasn't. You know what? When you're winning races like Kyle Busch is doing, you don't have to.
So I said, you play that game, I'll play it back. So I dumped him.
Kyle Busch is one of the most entertaining people to listen to on the radio.
You know, in terms of radio conversation, don't let the kids listen to Kyle.
The Busch brothers are awesome for our sport.
They got a lot of talent. They are winners, both of them.
But boy, are they aggravating. They win so much.
I'd say this will be quite a celebration in Sin City tonight.
Number 9.
The Labonis are a true racing family.
Bobby and Terry Labonte, 2 tough Texans, and I guess if you're going to be Bob Labonte's kids, you better be tough.
Bob Labonte's hard work got both of his boys in position to win a championship.
What a day it was for the Labonis.
The Labonis are funny because they're so quiet.
There's be a lot of times you could be in the room with them and not even know they were there.
They don't make a lot of noise. They just get it done.
Labonte wins the race, and Terry Labonte has become the 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup champion.
You know, they called Terry Labonte the Iceman because he was cool under pressure.
Terry Labonte, probably the quietest 2-time Sprint Cup champion NASCAR's ever had.
That's the way it goes. We won.
Bobby Labonte, he's also the kind of guy that doesn't say, hey, put the spotlight on me, but he just goes out and gets it done. Tremendously talented.
Bobby never got a nickname. Terry stole it from him because, honestly, he's the Iceman too. He's the sequel.
The Labonte family is still with us, thankfully.
They've lasted forever just because they know a thing or two about race cars.
They are some of the best racers ever in our sport, but more importantly, 2 downright good guys that made up one of the best families in NASCAR.
Number 8.
He's gonna make it. Dale Jarrett's gonna win the Daytona 500.
When you hear the name Jarrett, you think class immediately.
No better family in NASCAR than the Jarretts.
Ned Jarrett was known as Gentleman Ned Jarrett. There's never been a nickname in the sport that was more fitting.
Ned Jarrett is one of the nicest, if not the nicest guy to ever grace a NASCAR garage area.
Ned Jarrett set the bar pretty high. 50 race wins, 2 championships.
And then said, it's time for me to retire. And he stepped away.
He retired in his mid-30s. Why? He wanted to be a father to his boys.
They were pretty young when I retired from driving. Glenn was 15 and Dale was 9.
The great thing is that Ned Jarrett was still around the sport even after he stopped driving.
And it was neat to see both Glenn and Dale continue on in auto racing.
It's tough to come along and be that second-generation driver, and Dale Jarrett did that.
Dale Jarrett won everything there was. Daytona 500, Brickyard.
Won a championship, 3 Daytona 500. 500s.
Super job there, Dale. I tell you, I'm really proud of you. You did just exactly what you had to do, like I told you, right?
That's right, exactly like you told me all along, Dad.
Glenn did some driving himself and then went into broadcasting.
Has a wealth of NASCAR knowledge from all that time at the track.
Jason was Dale's son. Jason Jarrett's a spotter and one of the best spotters in the sport that we have today.
It's quite an honor to be listed as far as families in the sport, and I feel that family has what has helped to build this sport on a solid basis.
Next, the smooth talking Waltrips.
Wait a second. What happened in this family?
It's just amazing.
Dang, I love it.
And the Wild Wallaces.
The Wallace family. I mean, these guys are incredible.
You can't walk in the garage without tripping over a Wallace.
When the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history returns. Time now for the honorable mentions that just missed the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history.
Buck Baker was a pioneer of the sport.
And his son followed in his footsteps. Buddy Baker could drive just about any race car.
Never been anyone in this sport more loved and more missed than Benny Parsons.
Sport's better off than the Parsons having been around.
The Bodines drove you nuts. You know why? Because they all won and they were all good.
This is number 7.
You talk about NASCAR, and the Wood brothers are one of the first families that come to mind.
The Wood brothers are one of the great families in the history of NASCAR.
Kind of the spine of this sport.
There was so much respect for Leonard Wood and Glenn Wood and Glenn and Eddie and that whole family.
The Wood brothers have been around since NASCAR was named.
Since the beginning of time.
Petty Enterprises and the Wood brothers are the 2 longest teams that have been in the sport.
Just started with nothing in the woods of Virginia.
They are Stewart, Virginia.
I had the good fortune to drive for the Wood brothers, and you know what I loved about them the most? It was their family car.
They save every penny they make and they put it back into their race car.
They owned it, they built it, they knew everything about it.
They dipped into their own pockets so many times.
And without big sponsors all the time or a big operation like a Hendrick Motorsports.
The Wood brothers did it their way for so many years, and that's why they have survived. So now I say, okay, everybody's hiring these young drivers. Well, they gave Trevor Bayne a shot.
Cinderella Bayne is going to win the Daytona 500.
To see them win the 2011 Daytona 500 was absolutely amazing.
The Wood brothers return to victory lane with 20-year-old Trevor Bayne.
Just a great testament to how these guys have adapted over the years.
How cool is it to see the Wood brothers back in victory lane?
They've been totally devoted to this sport since day one. They've revolutionized the sport in many different ways, and they've raised the bar for competitors in this sport.
Number 6.
In terms of words per minute, there's never been a bigger family in the history of NASCAR than the Waltrips.
Got any comment? Ain't you got anything to say?
It's just amazing.
How much does first place pay? Where's victory lane and how big's the trophy?
I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite some time now.
Dang, I love it.
You have no idea what's coming next. Trust me.
Yes. Wait, I'm close. Well, you.
Well, I don't know how anyone got a word in edgewise in that family.
I can't dance.
Follow me in Tennessee.
I thought it was kind of bragging that we thought we could win this
Helmets
race.
cost more than hats. Use the hat.
They're not going to let me talk.
Darrell Waltrip set a high bar. He arrived talking, hasn't stopped yet.
I think we got a slight psychological advantage on everybody.
You know, he could run his mouth with the best of them, but the thing was that Darrell backed his mouth up with wins.
Wait a second. What happened in this family? How did Darrell Waltrip have so much success, over 80 wins, 83, 84 wins, and Michael can't win a race for 462 starts?
But Michael never gave up.
Come on, Mikey, you got it, man. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Michael Waltrip has won the Daytona 500.
I mean, you don't go over 400 races without a win and then get one if you gave up.
Anytime you can cap a career off with 2 Daytona 500 wins, it's not all bad.
Between us, we won 88 races and 3 championships. The other one won 84 of them and all the championships.
Number 5.
The Wallaces are just racing fools.
You can't walk in the garage without tripping over a Wallace.
I have to be careful what I say here.
The Wallace family. I mean, these guys are incredible.
All they want to do is strap into a race car and go.
One of the things that makes the Wallace family so cool is there are so darn many of them.
Who are these bunch of rednecks out of Jefferson County, Arnold, Missouri?
We grew up in St. Louis, Missouri with my dad just racing as a hobby.
Russ Wallace, the dad, was kind of quiet, but he was the man of the mountain. He was a great race car driver. driver.
And certainly they think of Rusty Wallace, who had tremendous success.
The Winston has been won by Rusty Wallace.
Got this cocky, sandy brown-haired kid named Rusty. He comes out, and we're like, okay, enough.
Here you got Rusty, who's all serious, and he's got the pleats in his jeans, and he's all clean cut.
Very businesslike.
Rusty took it on as a full-time profession.
And really put that family's name on the map.
Then all this little hyper-scrawny kid named Kenny Wallace, they nicknamed him the Herminator.
Off your seat and on your feet, it's time to go Green Flag. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Woo, that's St. Louis way, baby.
You got Kenny, who's just off the charts crazy.
Kenny Wallace is the ultimate nice guy, but he's jacked up on Mountain Dew 24 hours a day.
Then all of a sudden, Mike Wallace, he comes.
And then you got Mike, who's a rough and tumble racer, who's ready to get out there and battle.
I'm telling you what, if you folks didn't enjoy that, I don't know what turned you on.
The great thing about the Wallaces, I don't think they're done.
Now you got young Steven that has just a little bit of all of the other Wallaces in him.
I think Chrissy may be heard from before this is all over.
Stop! We get the point!
They just love to compete, love to drive. We really enjoy the sport. It's not just a job. It's something we like to do.
I think they're not all quite there, especially Kenny, but we still love them.
Oh my gosh, the Wallaces are out of hand. I don't know them very much.
Next, a racing family to the core.
They were never given anything.
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
And 3 generations of Earnhardts.
One of the biggest names in our sport.
That's pretty special. Where's the rest of them? Keep them coming.
When the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history returns. Welcome back to the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history. This is number 4.
The Allison family is the ultimate racing family.
The name ranks up there really high.
They won a lot of races, did it the right way.
Fires under the checkered flag. Bobby Allison does it.
It's just a whole group of people that contributed enormously to our enjoyment of automobile racing.
They come out of Birmingham, Alabama. They're tough.
They were never given anything.
Bobby didn't have a lot of money. Donnie didn't have a lot of money.
These guys raced 6 and 7 nights a week. They'd be in Florida, then a couple nights later they'd be in Ohio, they'd run Pennsylvania. They made a living doing this.
You know, you don't think about suit and ties with the Allisons. You think about hard-working and really knowledgeable about race car people.
Bobby was a hard-working driver, and it paid off in a lot of wins.
Bobby Allison, 80-something wins.
I think of Bobby and Donnie, you know, and the way they protected each other and would fight for each other. Remember the 1979 Daytona 500?
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
I mean, the Allisons were tenacious.
They created the Alabama gang.
The Alabama gang has conquered the Daytona 500.
They acted like a family.
Here comes Davey Allison to the bottom.
Davey Allison was going to be one of the best ever.
To see Bobby and Davey Allison have a 1-2 finish in the Daytona 500 is pretty incredible.
Bobby Allison, Davey Allison, his son in second. What a tremendous family performance.
Every one of them worked very, very hard to achieve what they achieved.
And all of a sudden, boom, we heard about that accident and that Davey lost his life.
I think we all were just stunned by it.
It was like a rock fell on the family.
But then for Clifford, the younger brother, to die in a race car is just almost too much to comprehend.
I think we all felt like we were part of the Alabama gang at that point.
But it's because they're great people that they made it through.
I think Bobby sums it up perfectly when he says, yes, we've had a lot of dark days in this sport, but a lot of families have dark days without ever having the great days that we've had as well.
Number 3.
Greatest NASCAR family to me has to be the Earnhardts.
The Earnhardts. Wow.
Obviously, the Earnhardt family, one of the biggest names in our sport.
I mean, what can you say?
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty special.
Ralph Earnhardt started the Earnhardt family deal.
Ralph is Dale Earnhardt's dad. He raced dirt all through the South.
Ralph Earnhardt probably does not get the credit he's due as a racer because he passed away at such a young age.
Ralph, they say, was one of the best ever.
Ralph Earnhardt really laid down a bedrock foundation for Dale to spring off of. Dale Sr. came along.
7-time champ Dale Earnhardt.
One of the things that Dale got from his dad was very competitive, very focused.
Dale Earnhardt Sr. mesmerized everyone.
The fans just beside themselves here at Talladega.
He was sort of the dividing line. People loved him, people hated him. They couldn't deny that he was a fantastic driver.
Dale Earnhardt has done it again.
It's just incredible the impact he had on our sport.
The greatest ever, goes in every Hall of Fame that's worthy of the name Hall of Fame.
Then all of a sudden, here comes this little kid, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Jr. has a huge cross to bear, lives his life under the shadow of his father and his grandfather.
Had so much pressure on him, and he made good of it.
Boy, it sure was cool to see Dale Jr. be able to drive a car just like his old man could when he showed up.
We're like, wow, where's the rest of them? Keep them coming. But right now, Dale Jr., Dale Earnhardt, Ralph Earnhardt, I mean, that's a pretty big name.
3 generations of Earnhardts have NASCAR championship trophies, becoming the first third-generation champion in all of sports. To me, says that has to be the greatest racing family in all of NASCAR.
Next, the greatest NASCAR families of them all.
The greatest family ever.
The first family of NASCAR racing.
We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them.
I don't know if there's any other people in the world that could have done what they have done over the years.
When the 10 greatest families in NASCAR history returns. Welcome back to the 10. We've brought you 8 great NASCAR families so far.
They're not worried about making friends.
What a day it was for the Labontes.
They just get it done.
You did just exactly what you had to do, like I told you, right?
No better family in NASCAR than the Jarretts.
The Wood brothers have been around
since the beginning of time.
How cool is it to see the Wood brothers back in victory lane?
Michael Waltrip has won the Daytona 500.
All they want to do is strap into a race car and go.
Stop! We get the point.
Bobby Allison, Davey Allison, his son in second. What a tremendous family performance.
Boy, it sure was cool to see Dale Jr. be able to drive a car just like his old man.
But now it's time for the greatest NASCAR families of them all. This is number 2.
I've always been a real big fan of Lee Petty, and now I've changed all that. Now I'm a big fan of Richard Petty.
Well, I hope so. It works out better for both of us that way right now.
You talk about great families in motorsports and racing, and the Pettys are probably the first thing that come to your mind.
They defined the first family of NASCAR racing.
Most of the people around where we grew up, they were dairy farmers or just farmers. We just happened to have race cars. We farmed race cars, and that's what it was.
Mother was a bookkeeper. You know, she'd always go, she went to the races and she'd score the card.
Lee Petty was the first guy that ever looked at this sport as a business instead of a hobby.
Won 3 championships in 50-some races.
He raced for wins because the wins paid the most. If second place paid more than first, Lee Petty would have finished second every single week.
And here he had 2 sons. And when we went to the races and stuff, we were his pit crew.
Maurice Petty has probably built more winning engines than anyone else in the history of the sport, and a future Hall of Famer.
And Richard came along and shattered every record.
Richard Petty becomes the sport's greatest iconic figure.
Richard won 27 races in 1967.
He's the Babe Ruth of our sport.
He knew the business side of things, and he would take care of the fans.
He's never turned down an autograph or crest from the time nobody knew who he was till he was the king.
And then I came along. I was my father's son, obviously.
Kyle was a rebel.
He was a little bit more rough and tumble of a driver.
Kyle Petty coming to the checkered flag.
Kyle Petty's one of the most fun people to talk to because he's got a great sense of humor.
And I hate Darlington. Hate Bristol, too. That's coming up next week.
Kyle Petty was born to be on television.
And Kyle, to me, is as good as anybody, getting it from here to here and explaining to the race fans what's happening.
Let's just take it off the table, and a penalty is a penalty, and now you got to be at home.
And then he has a son, Adam.
That's Adam Petty, and we'll see him here in the Daytona 500 sometime in the future, Ken.
Showed so much class as a young driver.
Then, I guess the good Lord didn't see fit that was the way it was supposed to be, so he took Adam from us.
These days when you hear Kyle Petty talk about Adam Petty, it's a very positive thing because he can look now and see what a tremendous impact Adam Petty's life had.
And I don't think anyone has ever given more to this sport than the Petty family has.
It's always been a family-oriented deal.
Petty's, to me, in the sheer volume and quality of the people they've had in and around this sport, really take the cake.
From the very beginning of the sport, there had been a Petty that had raced in the sport from 1948 to 2011.
The Petty family has been the foundation of NASCAR since day one.
This is number one.
The France family set the standard.
We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. Without the France family, there's no way there's a NASCAR.
And that's pretty amazing. When you look at any business, any outside entity, or any other sport, there's nothing like that in sports.
There have been three very distinct eras of the France family and their leadership in this sport.
Big Bill founded it and stuck his neck out so far.
You know, a lot of people probably said they were nuts when they sat there in that, little hotel room and planned out and mapped out this sport.
Bill France had an idea. His vision was Daytona, 2.5 miles.
I'm sure they looked at him like he was crazy. That's how far ahead of his time he was.
Got that done. Talladega, 2.6 miles. Big, fast super speedway. He wanted cars to go over 200 miles an hour.
To have the guts and the whacked out idea to build places like Daytona and Talladega, he put everything he had on the line to go out and accomplish his goals.
And then you got Billy, Bill Jr., who was the right guy for the right time.
Bill Jr. said, we've got a good product here, but I want to see it grow 10 times better. And guess what? He did it.
Bill Jr. made it a national sport.
They took a tiny little regional idea and made it nationwide and worldwide.
Bill France Jr. had the first live from green flag to checkered race on national television. And it just so happened that a fight broke out at the end of it, and everyone fell in love with NASCAR.
He really put together the people and the events to make this thing become world attraction.
Brian France has taken this sport into the corporate boardroom. He's made it a multi-million-dollar sport that people can compete in and make money and bring in Fortune 500 companies and sell the sport.
A lot of good decisions have been made in the last couple of years with him at the wheel.
Boy, I'll tell you what, NASCAR would be nothing without the France family.
Without the France family, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
There are fans all over the world that love NASCAR, and that's definitely because of the France family.
The Winston has been won by Rusty Wallace.
How much does first place pay? Where's victory lane and how big's the trophy?
Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
Oh, and he moved him up the hill.
Say goodnight, Gracie.